This is the Slots and Sockets podcast, episode number 26. I am one of your hosts, IRD Moose, and my partner in green,
Turbo Penguin.
Happy Monday, Turbo Penguin. It is a good day preparing for Thanksgiving here in the U.S. coming up in a few days, on our recording day, no less. And we got some interesting stuff to talk about. Looks like the ship may be sailing in on Intel's Arc and potentially sinking at the same time. So what do we got coming in for the B580?
B580. So Amazon had a listing that came out that had the listing. Now you couldn't buy it, but they had the pre-listing.
Mhm.
Now this is the same chip that the graphics card that we saw some shipping manifests coming across. So I think that was kind of a tip that maybe these were coming. And then, when you have Amazon, a retailer, be like, oh yeah, here it is. And here's some photos of this thing. Kind of very interesting. The one thing I would say is, one thing we're not hearing is any performance targets or leaks about performance. It's almost like this is just going to show up and people can buy it, because I think you kind of had some people, like a bunch of reviewers, off guard that you saw this, because I don't think that reviewers have this at least on their radar. I mean, I think people were expecting it was going to come.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we're necessarily going to see reviews before you can buy this thing. And, look, don't buy things before you see at least reviews on it.
Yeah.
Third-party reviews, might I say.
Right.
Don't take manufacturer's word of how good or bad their product is. But it's interesting that we've kind of got to the point where it's shipped and retailers have a bunch of information, and but the normal channels where you start seeing leaks is through media and those types of things, and you really don't see that other than people like, hey, this thing actually kind of shipped, and retailers are like, oh yeah, this is actually a thing. So we have no idea what to expect performance wise of the B850, right? Is it 850 or
580?
Something.
B5, yeah, B580.
Knowing it's Intel, and it's graphics, it's gonna suck. So it's basically gonna be like onboard graphics, from 2013.
Well, maybe. I mean, as I recall,
come on, it can't be good.
I'm not going to say it's going to be great, but the Alchemist did, once they got stuff sorted out 18 months after release. At least it seemed that way. The Alchemist stuff did kind of hold its own against the lower end of the mid-range of Nvidia and AMD stuff.
Right. So if you want
for
a
a first-time
GeForce
product,
310,
yeah,
if you want a GeForce 310, Arc is a competitor.
right.
I mean, that's the problem. Like, oh, by the way, it needs 2 8-pins, and it's going to use 400 watts to do that.
Yeah. Which
That's
I mean,
typical Intel fashion, right?
It's
using a ton of power, create a bunch of heat, and not doing a whole lot.
Hey, maybe they'll have some silicon that doesn't melt the ring bus this time. Wait, do they even use a ring bus on their GPUs? Oh well. But yeah, I mean, we really won't know what the performance looks like until this actually launches, or at least gets out of embargo, and we see who has the review units and who's actually got data on it.
I don't think we've actually heard of people saying, like, typically speaking, we'll kind of know that people have things and that they're reviewing things, because they'll say, and it's coming, but I haven't seen any news of it other than the leaks of the Amazon piece. And so I wonder if, and that's why I say from before, I sort of have the suspicion that it's just going to be Arc. Yeah, you can buy it. Oh, what is it? You can buy it. And I think that's all what like Intel's going to do, is try to maybe, I don't know, maybe it's It
It
seems kind of shady.
it makes shiny pixels, and that's about all we know. Well, and even
I,
then, how shiny are they? So,
you know,
yeah, I mean,
I have looked a couple of times at ARC because I'm interested with the notion of it. But
mhm.
my problem is even on the used market, and I have no problem buying used stuff. Even a used market, I feel like I'm getting fleeced because
Yeah,
like I had a couple of them where I could buy it locally and it was like $200 for I don't know
I
which one,
mean,
maybe the A770. And I was just like, I just kind of felt like I was getting like one overed.
yeah.
And maybe I was, maybe that's a really good deal. Maybe there's some Intel fanboy out there that's, it's like upset that I don't think that Intel graphics are good, but I think that's the majority of people. So whatever. I just don't really see anybody getting excited, and especially after all the bad stuff happening, it's just like it's not good. I
Yeah.
don't see it being good. So,
I mean,
anyways,
yeah, I'm far less excited for, Battlemage than I was for Alchemist before it launched. Because at least then we had some semblance of hope and some hopium, if you will, that it might actually be a good performer. But
now I
since
will say,
Alchemist,
I will say the one thing that's interesting, and I did not realize, is that in the Arc games, like they do have like upscaling and they do have ray tracing, and apparently
mhm,
they have specialized ray tracing cores. Um,
okay,
I don't know how they are, but I don't think we have a lot of like. I think reviews of Arc were like, yeah, there's Arc, and yeah, it sort of works when it doesn't work.
yep,
Um, but I, I feel like we haven't really seen a serious card from
yeah,
Intel.
yep,
I'm sure that would be kind of hacked off for Intel, but whatever.
yeah.
Don't buy it until you
Uh,
see reviews.
Wait for reviews, absolutely. Well, and also,
Don't be a guinea pig.
based on some of the stuff I saw over the weekend from Moore's Law is Dead and a couple of other places that publish leaks about stuff like this, uh, the B580 may be the only core we see released for Battlemage, which might
No idea.
not fend well for Intel because in a related topic, Intel has announced that they are going to be selling off both their Hillsboro, Oregon, and Folsom, California locations. Now, Folsom, they've said they will be leasing back parts of it that they can occupy fully, but for a company
Financial
to
moves.
yeah, it's not showing particularly great financial health for Intel. And so that kind of lends some more credence to the rumors about we're only going to get one Battle Mage core for this generation. It may even pretend. No, words are hard. I think that's my weekly thing now. Words are hard. So, uh,
Yes.
I think it's actually foreshadowing for Intel's overall health as a company. And a lot of it has to do with what's happened in the CPU realm and the fact that the investor confidence in Intel is completely gone.
Well, I think consumer and
Yeah,
business confidence in there is gone. Um,
especially in the server market. Like, whew, good grief.
I think we see that almost instantly.
Yeah.
I think the problem is that right, and the why where we'll still see some sales on the Intel side is that there are some manufacturers that are blindly loyal to Intel. Um, like I bet you I would be interested. I'm gonna guess that Dell doesn't have any AMD systems.
Is it
I mean,
blind
I just
loyalty or is it contractual loyalty? Because I have
oh,
a
I think
distinct
it's
feeling it's the
blind. No, I
latter.
don't think they're. No, I don't think. Look, at this point, if as bad as things are, contracts always have a way out.
Yeah, true.
Now maybe companies are a little worried about what Intel might do or say when they become better. If they become better, I don't know. I'm sort of in the bandwagon that they'll be sold. Um, but you know, I would very well put that Intel is one of those places that holds a grudge, especially in the marketing side. So if you pissed them off, you're probably just not going to get future product
Oh, you mean like
you know.
TSMC with Intel? Good
I
job,
would.
Pat.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
Look. Intel's obviously not good from a financial standpoint. I so
yeah.
that's not good. And Intel graphics have always sort of been at best meh. So if
I,
you kind of have a new meh
yeah,
without really saying
exactly.
we have a new meh, that
Right.
tells you that it's really, really meh, meh, meh.
Hey, look,
It's like triple meh.
Intel has graphics, okay? Intel has graphics. That's what we can say.
They have
So,
graphics. They
all
have a
right.
lot of onboard graphics.
Well, sticking with the graphics market here, looks like we've got some leaked specs on the 5070 through the 5090 coming out, along with potential release dates in Q1 of 2025. Things are actually looking kind of interesting because we're seeing 5070s start out with 12 gigs and the 5070 Ti moving up to 16 gigs, which is something we've been basically begging Nvidia to do is, hey, guys,
I I don't
give us more
understand this.
VRAM.
So I don't understand. Now, the weird thing is that they do show a different um core designation between the TI and the regular vanilla 5070.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna guess that what we're gonna see is we're gonna see a 5070 come out, and my guess about 6 months later you'll have TI, which will be more cores,
Yep.
more RAM, more power, and it's the thing. So I mean, the honest truth is, um, look, we've talked about this for quite some time, and we will talk again probably Wednesday or Thursday,
Yep.
depends on when we connect on Turkey Day. Um, but the notion is that you shouldn't be buying a graphics card right now unless you need a graphics card. And
Yeah.
even if you do, you should be very, very picky to make sure you get as good of a deal as you can, because with this next generation of stuff coming out, the used market for what we're buying today is going to be much cheaper. I mean,
Yeah.
we see 7900 XTX is cheaper, 7900 XT is cheaper. Um, so, but look, if you can't afford a 5080 and the 5070 is in your price point, I would say don't buy the 5070. Wait for the 5070 Ti, because
Yep.
my guess is it's going to be like the same, if not maybe $50 more, and you're going to get a whole boatload more. And future proofing, I don't understand how people are like, yeah, 12 gigs, that's great for 4K
Right.
or even 1440p. Like heck, I mean, if we just look at our browsers use a crap ton of memory. What do you think
Mm-hmm.
these developers are doing?
Yep.
Yeah, we got plenty of RAM, so just go for it. And they don't care. So the people who have 12 gigs, or are going to be like, yeah, I wish I would have had those extra 4 gigs.
Yeah.
And to be
Yeah.
honest, I sort of think 16's a cop out.
16
Like,
is.
I don't understand why you have 16 gigs on a 5090. I mean, 5080.
Yeah.
I mean,
50.
can we
Looking.
not just put 24? I'm like, does Nvidia not have are they short on memory? I mean, I don't understand this.
No, I think they're just shorting us on memory. That's the problem. Because I mean,
So
looking at the product stack, the 5070 or 5070 Ti rather looks like, because it's got the same parent identifier. It's a GB203 300, where the 5080 is a GB203 400. And what that
It's
tells
all
me
garbage.
is it's effectively the same card. It's just so
A cut down
why?
version of it.
Yeah, it's a cut down. It's a cut down version of the core. But the question I have is, why aren't we making the 5080 24 gigs? Because if it has what 25% more CUDA cores, then those CUDA cores are going to need more memory to
I'll
process your shiny frames with all your RTX and goodness and physics and
all I
stuff.
can say is I feel like with Nvidia, it's like people are going to bend over and take it
Yep.
because they just spend stupid money on these things.
Please don't.
Like I would feel better, I would at least feel better taking it if my 5090 had 64 gigs of RAM that I would never use, but I have a 64 gigabyte system.
Right.
Like if I had stuff like that, it's like, yes, I can preload a quarter of Call of Duty. You
Right.
know,
Right.
like that I think makes some sense, but like it just feels like generation after generation, the thing that we keep on coming back to with Nvidia is I wish we had more RAM.
Yep.
And I would say this, if it's $2,000, which I think is kind of the running rumor we're hearing right now.
Yep.
And I don't think that we have firm rumors until Jensen gets up there. And my guess is that they're like, well, whatever you say it's going to cost, we'll make it work. And there's probably some dude in the back who's like, okay, I've got 2 slides. Which one am I going to do? Like, and just waiting for Jensen to say something. But
Yep.
like, if you're going to do that, give them a crap ton of memory.
Yeah.
Like the 5080 should have 32 gigs of RAM.
Yeah. No. Well.
Everything should just kind of move up
Yeah.
one. And I think then
I
people
agree.
would feel like they're getting less screwed.
Well,
Now, I
it's
still
kind of
think they're getting screwed.
no. I agree, but I find it quite disappointing that 2 generations from the 3090, we're still not shipping an X80 with the same amount of VRAM as the 3090 had. A 3090 came out 2021, 3 years ago. Like, come on,
I
Jensen,
just
you don't
feel
need leather jackets that badly. You
I
could
just
switch to
feel
pleather.
like if as expensive as these cards are, I just don't understand. And because the problem is that when it's all said and done, I firmly feel like the GPU RAMs amount, the
Mhm.
memory on our graphics cards from Nvidia is a way to synthetically limit how well our cards do over the
Yeah.
long haul.
Well, and not
Because the
just
problem
synthetically
is
limit.
that 12 gigs is not going to last you long.
Right.
And what I don't think that gamers are starting to realize is that look at a vanilla 4070 owner with 12 gigs. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yay, you have one more gig than a 1080 Ti. Yay!
And about the same performance.
I mean, seriously, like, again, we say that, but that brings into context, like, that goes back to what, 2015, 2000. I mean, when's a 1080 Ti come out? I mean, come on,
1080
it
Ti,
can't.
I think, was 2018. I
I
want to
mean,
say
seriously, we're 1 gig over. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. 2017.
2017.
2017.
I was close. So yeah, I mean
No,
that's the
stupid.
thing. The whole reason Nvidia does that, in my opinion, is because they don't want somebody who needs to do a commercial workload on their development station with a 4080 or a 40 or a 49 or 5080 or a
Okay, but
5090.
come on,
But
they're gonna do that anyways. I
yeah,
mean, come on.
exactly. And that's kind of the thing is like, well, we don't want them using this for a rendering workstation or for an AI workstation. Well, who cares? Because you're literally gimping your card when it's been proven. How many times have we seen videos where people have boosted the performance of their NVIDIA card by just soldering on newer uh, VRAM chips that were double the size, and
Well, and
just
it's
proving
interesting.
that there was a lot of horsepower left on the table?
Oh yeah. and some boards don't get a lot of performance by doing that, but surprisingly, there's a couple there are boards out there that get
Hmm.
a dramatic uptick, especially at the higher resolutions where you can start utilizing that higher amount of, and that's just due having some guy with a solder station soldering it on there.
Yep.
Like that's not even going as further as to like, oh, by the way, you now have double the RAM in your, the BIOS or even drivers. Like you
Hmm.
sit there and realize like how simple of a thing that is. But the honest truth is that this is a way for them to limit the longevity. Now, I don't know. I mean, I think longevity is kind of short because I feel like for gamers, it's almost like how long does a graphics card last you? 2, 3 years is probably a good length. I
Yeah, it depends
I don't know.
really on where you land in the product stack. In my experience, the X80 cards tend to last 4 to 5 years before they really start struggling. With below 60 FPS on even medium settings. Um, if you're as much of a penny pincher as I am, I mean, yeah, I like buying the shiny stuff when I buy it, but usually I will buy it and keep it for quite a while, a lot longer than most will. Um, and so, that's kind of where we'll see situations come about with people buying the 5080 or the 5090, and come 2030, that's when they're going to start looking at a new card, unless something major really shifts in the industry, like RTX becoming a thing. And then they're like, well, I want to have the new shiny, so maybe I'll look at a different card now that we're 2, 3 years in. So
I
usually
would be
usually 3 generations is my experience for
uh,
myself.
so yeah, I'm just kind of looking and nobody has because no one can buy GDDR7 because it's always something that you kind of slap onto something else, right? Like a video card.
Yeah.
But I'm looking up just real quick to see how much like RAM cost. Okay. And now granted, this is from 2013 and it's a Tom's hardware piece. It's a legit piece.
Hmm.
Okay. But kind of get you an idea. Okay. 8 gigabytes of GDDR6. Not granted, six, not seven, and it's a year and a half old. Whatever. But it gets you an idea. 8 gigs. How much do you think 8 gigabytes costs, Moose?
In 2016?
No, 2023. This
Oh,
is 18
2023.
months ago.
18 months ago.
GDDR6. Now that GDDR6 18 months ago was the standard.
Yep.
That's what everyone was pretty much using. I think
$100.
there was 6X. For 8 gigs, no, you would be high. Would you like to try again? RAM prices for 300, please.
I'll call it $50.
You're high again.
Okay. Gonna go
Now
crazy
we start
low.
to wonder.
I'm gonna go crazy low. $10.
You're high. Um,
What?
$27 for
Wait,
8 gigs.
you said I was high at $10.
No, I said you were low.
Oh, I misheard you.
It's $27 for 8 gigs. So
Wow.
this is what I say. If I'm spending $2,000 for a graphics card,
Yeah. It's freaking ridiculous.
okay,
It's ridiculous.
$100 of that $2,000 is memory. You
Yep.
couldn't give me a little. Now granted, I'm assuming that Nvidia gets a better deal. So maybe instead of 27, maybe Nvidia has agreements to buy them at 20 or
Mm-hmm.
17,
Because they're buying them in
because
volume on a guaranteed contract. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, but stop being cheap. I
Yeah.
just feel like, some of these things, like the other half, the thin PCBs.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, guys,
Mm-hmm.
$2,000 card. You can't give me 4 more layers of PCB.
No, we just want to let the boards crack.
Anyways, okay.
Crack is whack,
On to
people.
another topic.
Yes. So the last topic of the show. Looks like we are seeing rumors that the 9950X3Ds are going to launch at the end of January.
Yes, and the sad piece, which is why I think the 9800X 3D is going to be gaming king,
Mm-hmm.
is that we're hearing it's only one CCD with 3D cache.
We haven't had confirmation, so that is still a rumor. But if that is the
I
case,
think
that will make me
I
very
think it
sad.
was a rumor that it would have two. I think that we're starting to see, be like, yeah, it's only going to have one. I don't know if ever was going to have two. I think that was
Yeah,
gamers kind of hoping they would have more.
yeah.
The other thought I was thinking about, and I don't know. I would be very interested to see if adding more 3D cache, really makes a difference. Because if you look at these, it's like 100 megabytes
Mm-hmm.
of 3D cache. Now, granted, I know it's like super fast and super awesome and uber cool. We love that. Thank
Yep.
you. Keep doing it, AMD. But I would love to hear from like somebody be like, what happened if I had 150? What happened if I had 200? Like, does my
Mm-hmm.
performance go up? Or is it like, look, we add some there and performance goes up, but when we scale and add up more, it doesn't really make a difference. Like, you know, hey, Nvidia, I mean AMD, what happens if I put like a gigabyte of 3D cache? Like,
Right.
right? Like,
Yeah.
it would be kind of interesting to see like how that goes. But um yeah, and the 9900X is gonna it's gonna come 9900X 3D. Gosh, you gotta think straight. And the 9950. Again, it'll be interesting to see how they kind of segment those from a price perspective, because I
Mm-hmm.
don't think people were overly excited about the 9900X 3D because the 9950 was just that much better.
Yeah.
Um, the 9950 X3D probably is going to be like, I game and I do intensive creator tasks.
Mm-hmm.
The 9800X 3D is going to be the gamers piece, because it's not going to, you don't need all those cores anyways.
Yep.
Um, so look, I don't think there's going to be anything. The only thing I will say is that come review time, AMD has got to control the narrative when these things come out,
Mm-hmm.
because I think there's a notion that the 9950X 3D, the 9950X, whatever, the 9950X 3D, gosh, is going to be better than the 98X 3D.
Model numbers are
And
hard. Yeah.
it's guys, it's a totally different market, and I think that's the thing,
Yeah.
is they're going to say, look, this is for the creators. So what I think AMD needs to do is, to be honest, they just need to stop selling chips without 3D cache and be like, yeah, we use 3D cache on everything.
Yep.
Everything's 3D cache. You get Vcache, you get Vcache, even he gets Vcache,
Well, even
and
their
just,
low end CPUs would really benefit from that, especially because,
oh,
um,
absolutely.
I mean, look at the lower end of the 9000 series that we see coming out, and just kind of extrapolate the performance gains on clock for clock from the 9700 to the
I think if you
9800X3D.
had that on think if you had that with with a mobile chip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like a Strix
Anyways,
point. Woo.
yeah.
Especially if the GPU could access that or had its own 3D cache.
That's
Um,
where I think
you
we
know,
could see some really unique things coming out of them, because if they could get you a price point and have legitimate SoC where
mhm,
you've got storage, you've got your 3D cache, you got your graphics card and your CPU all on one chip, one thing to cool, like that could be, you've got to balance the bandwidth and the power needs,
yep.
but that could be wildly efficient and wildly fast.
Yep. Well,
So,
and yeah, especially having it that much faster, that gets you into your idle states on a mobile chip that much quicker. Because the quicker you,
mhm.
because that's the whole reason Intel came out with Turbo Boost, is because, hey, mobile parts, if you can ram through a bunch of power in a short amount of time and get your process done quicker, you can spend more time at idle and save that much more power, which means more battery life and, in the long run, better user experience.
I wonder if there's a
Yeah.
power constraint here, because that's interesting. On the desktop side, we've got third version of Vcache. You have
Mm-hmm.
5800, 5000, 7000, and we're at 9000.
Yep.
And I know that at one point there was a single SKU on the laptop side that had 3D Vcache. It was a very, very high-end piece, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not very common. But I know it's out there. It's just and that, from what I understand, I've only seen it on a very small select, laptops. So it makes me wonder what on earth and why we don't see Vcache on some of these. And I'm wondering, there's got to be something funky. And I'm guessing it has to do with power. I mean, it would make
Yeah.
sense because that's really the only biggest difference between a laptop and a desktop is power, and it's moving up and down. I'm wondering if Vcache uses like consistently power when it's on,
Possibly.
and there's no way to kind of throttle it or maybe turn it off or on, or maybe that's something that's a work in progress. I don't know.
It could also
Very
be
interesting
heat.
of why that's on.
Yeah,
It,
because remember
it could.
the
That's true.
3D Vcache parts generally have a slightly lower TDP, so if the thermal envelope is that much tighter, laptops tend to run a heck of a lot hotter than desktops because you don't have a
Mm.
lot of mass for cooling, so that could
Yeah.
also be the other
It's
side of the
to be
coin.
honest, actually, that's probably what it is. Because I will
Probably.
say, um, from going from a 5800X to a 5800X 3D,
Mm-hmm.
there is legitimate increase in the heat output
Right.
on that CPU.
Now,
Legitimate. And that's not even overclocking because you can't.
yeah, and on your chip and the 7000 series parts, the CPU die is beneath the memory. So that might be why they avoided it. And it's possible that now that they're able to stack the memory under the die and get the die closer to your heatsink, or rather to the IHS on the desktop side, which would be the heatsink on the mobile part, we might start seeing some 3D Vcache parts come in the future. But I mean, that's not even an official rumor or anything that's leaked by anyone. That's just us speculating and bloviating. And on that note, or rather on that bombshell.
Whoa, hold up.
Oh,
Before we bombshell this.
oh, yes.
So I think we need to have a chat because I do want to talk, and maybe we can have a special episode on Black Friday, not
Black
Black
market.
Market.
Hey,
Oh, God.
you got any of those sweet AMD chips? Like
Exactly
the
right.
9800 XCDs, man. They just fell off the back of a truck, man.
I need some 3D, chips, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we need to have a discussion on good deals, bad deals. So I think let's do that, and then I'm just going to leave it open because if people
Yeah.
have gotten to this point in the podcast and are still listening at the end, then you absolutely have every right to tell us if we want to talk about something else. So
Yeah.
we will have one more, maybe two more, depending on how this goes. But at least another episode this week because all the YouTubers have pre-recorded stuff. We don't pre-record. We shoot
Not yet
and then we
anyway.
put it up.
That's still on
Yeah,
our list,
exactly.
but
But
um
so put it in comments if you have anything you want us to address in the
yeah.
next one. But I think what we'll do is we are going to have a conversation about good deal, bad deal stuff, not things to buy, things not to buy. I think some people may already know some of the things I say, not to buy,
Mm-hmm.
but like good deals versus bad deals. And I think that's sort of important for people to understand, especially with like Black Friday stuff, is that just because it's on sale does not necessarily mean it's a good deal. And there are
Yeah.
good deals to be had. You just kind of have to know what a good deal is.
Yep. So if you guys see any good deals or anything you'd like to see us talk about in the next show, please let us know. And on that bombshell, thank you all for watching. And I have been one of your hosts, IRD Moose, my partner,
And Turbo Penguin.
Yes. And thank you again all for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, tell us what you like, tell
Share.
us what you don't like. yeah, share it out. Get it in front of your friends and family who are looking for ideas on hardware and what might be coming next. And
Share it with your grandmother.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, hi, Mom. Although I don't think my mom watches this yet. So until next time, have fun storming the castle. Good night, everybody.
Hasta luego.